Hi, I'm Gavin the Credit Coach, and this is the third in a series of videos called lex360, a 360-degree look at the inside workings of the nation's largest credit correction law firm. In this series, we'll explore the three major components of the Lexington Law Firm service, and we'll take a look behind the curtain to see how it's all done. In previous episodes, we've discussed questionable negative credit listings, the credit breakers with which we're all too familiar. Today we'll be going underground, taking a closer look into the credit score makers nobody else is talking about. Uncovering the amazing complexity of the credit score algorithms can help you better understand how all of this works. And that's the first step to cultivating a sterling credit score. We'll also take a look at each score maker, and we'll reveal the mystery behind how each component can be harnessed to raise your credit score. Before we start analyzing the credit scoring process, let's take a moment to review the basics of the Lexington approach. As you may already know, your creditworthiness is 100% dependent on a three-digit number, your credit score. Generally speaking, a 700 credit score is the bottom limit of traditional creditworthiness. Anything below that and qualifying for credit becomes difficult and expensive. Your score can be dragged down by bad marks such as negative listings, including late payments, judgments, collections, bankruptcy, and even creditor inquiries. Addressing a low credit score is more complex than most people think. Removing questionable negative listings is important, but it's not the only component of credit improvement. Lexington Law employs a three-dimensional approach. The first dimension involves the credit bureaus. These companies collect and house your credit information. Contrary to popular misconception, they're not part of the government, and they're definitely for-profit companies. By sending a series of carefully written dispute letters to the three credit bureaus, the firm works to trigger an investigation into the questionable negatives on your report. If the information is found to be inaccurate, or if the information isn't verified, then the negative items are removed or improved. At the same time, if you're a Concord level client, the firm conducts phased interventions with the creditors who reported the questionable information to the credit bureaus in the first place. Many of these communications result in the removal of more questionable negative listings from the credit report, either because the credit company decides to give you the benefit of the doubt, or because they cannot back up the information they had previously reported. If you're a Concord Premier level client, the firm also goes to work with you on improving the host of other factors that also impact your credit score. We call those factors score makers. Removing inaccurate or questionable negatives isn't enough to get maximum score impact. We must go deeper into the credit report to touch all the factors that will make up that all-important three-digit credit score. These score makers include your maxed out ratios, your good credit lines, your account balances, your types of credit, and even your credit inquiries. As you can see, the Lexington Law Concord Premier Service takes on all of the major areas of your credit report, and therefore all of the major factors affecting your credit score. Today we'll focus on the piece of the pie least understood, even by the companies claiming expertise in the area of credit repair. If there ever was a secret formula to credit improvement, this list of score makers would be it. Let's dive in. The attorneys and credit experts of Lexington Law Firm have worked tirelessly to achieve an insider's knowledge of not only the credit reporting system, but the credit scoring system as well. By attending numerous exclusive courses on how credit scoring works, by investing countless hours doing research into the intricacies of the credit score, and by studying how actual credit reports affect actual scores, the Lexington team has elevated its methods and understandings into a cutting-edge science, the science of credit score improvement. It's easy to imagine that the credit score is a simple numeric thermometer that goes down when bad stuff appears on your credit report and goes up when good stuff shows up on your report. Ultimately, it's not that simple. Instead, each person is assigned a scorecard by the credit score company, and each scorecard has its own unique method of adding or subtracting from the credit score. We're going to place all the score makers in order of importance in a moment, but you should remember that order changes depending on which scorecard you're in. It's complicated, but the good news is that your Lexington attorneys will have a pretty good idea of which card you'll be in and which score makers should be a priority. Don't worry about the complexity of the credit system. Let us worry about it for you. Next, let's take a look at the credit makers, the methods that can drive up your credit score under any scorecard. All the score makers have a significant impact on your score, but the largest score increase may come from your maxed out ratio. Your credit score and your credit report do not take into consideration your income, so that's not part of the score. But they do know what your credit limits are, and they'll know how close you are to being maxed out. The closer you are to being maxed out, the more it can hurt your score. Your credit score totals up all of your outstanding debt and compares it to your credit limits, and then calculates your overall maxed out ratio. As a Premier client, our paralegals and attorneys will constantly be aware of which accounts could be impacting your score the most. We'll alert you to which accounts are the biggest concern and provide you with a method of lowering your utilization ratios, or maxed out ratios. Be sure to make it a top priority. Another important score maker is your credit inquiries. Each time you apply for credit, an inquiry appears on your report. A couple of inquiries a year is fairly normal. Recent inquiries can have a negative impact on your score. This is because, to a credit scoring model, it appears that you're actively searching for credit and may be positioning yourself to become overextended. So the fewer recent inquiries that appear on your credit report, the better. Luckily, there's a lot you can do to remove questionable inquiries, and our firm will walk you through all of the methods we provide. Of course, your credit score needs good items in order to grow. Positive credit listings are a must, especially if your credit file is a thin file. That's credit scoring lingo for without a lot of positive accounts. Don't forget, as our credit correction efforts succeed, many of the questionable negative accounts may fall off of your credit report, leaving it a lot thinner than it was before. The trick is to begin to load your credit report with the right number of positive accounts at the same time as you're eliminating the score breakers. There are numerous ways to build good credit, from secured card to department store cards, to bad credit-friendly car dealerships. Again, this is something your attorney or paralegal can help you figure out, and the sooner, the better. Last but not least, your credit mix can have a big impact on your credit score as well. Interestingly, the presence of certain types of installment loans, such as signature loans from finance companies, may actually detract from your credit score, even if you pay them on time. As a Concord Premier client, we'll let you know when the presence or lack of a specific account may be impacting your credit score. In short, that's what we're here for, to help you tailor your credit profile to achieve the best score possible. So you've come to the right place for enduring score improvement. All three components of the Lexington service, credit bureau disputing, creditor interventions, and optimizing your credit score makers, they all play a role in obtaining the goal of the best credit score possible. Until next time, I'm Gavin, the credit coach, and remember, together we can do this.